You already know what it feels like. That quiet ache when you're surrounded by people but still feel completely alone. That moment when you realize the person sitting right next to you has no idea what's actually going on inside your head. You smile. You laugh at the right moments. You say the right things. And then you go home and wonder why nothing feels real anymore. This is not a small problem. This is the silent epidemic that nobody is talking about openly enough. And if you've ever felt it, I want you to know something right now. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not too damaged. You are simply someone who has never been shown what real human connection actually looks like. Most people spend years, sometimes decades, trying to figure out why their relationships feel shallow, why friendships drift, why the people they love most somehow feel like strangers. And the painful truth is that nobody teaches us this. Not our parents, not our schools, not the books we read or the movies we watch. Nobody sits us down and explains the mechanics of what makes a human bond actually real, actually lasting, actually nourishing. And here is what I want to show you today. Everything you think you know about connection is probably built on a foundation that was never meant to hold. And once you see what real bonds look like, once you understand the difference, everything starts to shift. Before we go deeper, I need to tell you something important. We have a program link down below in the video description. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it right now, but if even 10% of what I'm about to share lands for you, you need to look at it. Because what we've built is for people who are serious about changing the quality of their relationships from the inside out. The people who find out about it and take action right away are the ones who stop waiting for connection to happen to them and start building it deliberately. Don't wait on that. Now let's go deeper. Think about the last time you had a conversation that felt genuinely alive, where time disappeared, where you forgot to check your phone, where something in you relaxed in a way you didn't even realize you were tensing. Most people, when they really sit with that question, realize it's been a while. A long while. And here's the painful part. Most of us have adapted to surface-level connections so completely that we've stopped noticing how much it's costing us. We text instead of calling. We send memes instead of saying what we actually feel. We follow people on platforms instead of following up in real life. And slowly, without us even realizing it, our tolerance for depth shrinks. Our capacity for vulnerability tightens. And we end up surrounded by contacts instead of connections. The research on this is staggering. People with deep, genuine human bonds live measurably longer, they recover faster from illness, they make better decisions, they experience significantly less anxiety and depression. We're not talking about small differences. Studies tracking people across their entire adult lives show that the quality of your relationships is the single most powerful predictor of how you will feel as you age. Not your career, not your income, not your achievements, your relationships. And yet most of us are operating with a connection deficit so deep that we don't even register it anymore. We've normalized loneliness to the point where it just feels like regular life. Now here is where it gets really important, because this is the part nobody tells you. Real human bonds are not built on compatibility. They are not built on having things in common. They are not built on spending a lot of time together. Those things can exist in a relationship and the bond can still be completely hollow. Real bonds are built on something else entirely. And when you understand what that something is, everything changes. Real bonds are built on emotional safety, not the idea of safety. Not the performance of it, the actual felt sense that this person sees me, that I don't have to manage myself around them, that I can say the thing I've been afraid to say and something good will happen instead of something terrible. Here's the thing though. Most people have never experienced that. Or they experienced it briefly and then it disappeared. And what they don't realize is that the absence of it isn't because they're unlovable, it's because emotional safety is a skill. It's something that can be built, deliberately, consistently, with the right understanding. But first, let me show you the pain of not having it. Because I think you need to hear this said out loud. When you don't have genuine bonds, you perform constantly. You perform at work, you perform with friends, you perform in your closest relationships. Every interaction has this low hum of anxiety underneath it. Am I saying the right thing? Are they judging me right now? Do they actually like me, or are they just being polite? That exhaustion is not a personality flaw. That is what happens when you've spent years without a place that is actually safe to land. When you don't have genuine bonds, you start editing yourself. You cut out the parts of you that feel too weird, too intense, too sad, too much. And the version of you that people know is a curated highlight reel. And the tragedy is that people respond to that edited version and you feel more alone than ever because you know they're not responding to the real you. They can't. They've never met the real you. When you don't have genuine bonds, your nervous system stays in a constant low-grade state of alert. Because connection isn't just emotional, it's biological. We are wired for tribe. We are wired to feel safe when we are seen and known by other humans. When that need goes unmet, your body registers it as a threat, not a soft discomfort, an actual physiological threat. This is why loneliness doesn't just hurt emotionally, it shows up in your body. in your sleep, in your energy, in your ability to think clearly and make good decisions. And I want you to really sit with this, because the cost of living without deep connection is not just that life feels a little less rich. The cost is years. Years of operating below your actual capacity. Years of making decisions from fear instead of from groundedness. Years of choosing the safe option, the smaller life, because you don't have the kind of support that makes you feel like you can actually reach for something bigger. Now let me show you the other side, because this is where it gets extraordinary. When you have real human bonds, something shifts in your entire experience of being alive. There is a baseline sense of okayness that exists regardless of what's happening in your external life. You can lose a job and not spiral into an identity crisis because there are people who see your value independent of your productivity. You can make a mistake without shame destroying you because the people around you know your character and they don't confuse a failure with who you are. When you have real human bonds, you take bigger risks, not reckless risks, meaningful ones. You reach for the career change. You have the honest conversation. You say the real thing instead of the safe thing. Because courage is not actually a solo experience. Courage is something that gets activated by felt support. When you know someone is genuinely in your corner, not just saying they are but actually embodying it, you become a different version of yourself. When you have real human bonds, your body changes. Your baseline cortisol levels drop. Your immune function improves. The quality of your sleep deepens. You laugh more. Genuinely laugh, not perform laughing. Because laughter is a byproduct of safety, and when you're finally safe, you can let it happen naturally. And here is the thing that moves me every single time. When you have real bonds, you stop being so afraid of loss. Because one of the deepest fears humans carry is the fear that if the wrong thing happens, they'll be completely alone in it. That fear drives so many terrible decisions. It keeps people in relationships that have long since stopped working. It keeps people from speaking their truth. It keeps people small. And when that fear starts to dissolve because you actually have people who will show up for you, you become freer in a way that nothing else can replicate. Now let's talk about what actually builds this. Because understanding the value of something is only useful if you know how to create it. Real bonds require presence, not just physical presence, emotional presence, the ability to be in a conversation without half your attention somewhere else, the ability to actually track what the other person is feeling, not just what they're saying. Real bonds require honest vulnerability, not trauma dumping, not oversharing in ways that make the other person your emotional caretaker, but the specific practice of letting someone see something real about you and staying in the discomfort of being seen without immediately deflecting with humor or minimization. Real bonds require repair. This is the one almost nobody talks about. Every relationship, no matter how good, experiences rupture. Moments where someone misunderstands or disappoints or says the wrong thing. What separates genuine bonds from fragile ones is not the absence of those moments, it's what happens after them. The ability to come back. To say something went wrong here and I care enough about us to address it. That practice, done consistently, is what creates the deepest trust. And here's the profound irony. Most people avoid the very things that build connection because they feel risky. They avoid vulnerability because they're afraid of rejection. They avoid repair because conflict feels dangerous. They avoid presence because slowing down feels uncomfortable. And in avoiding those things, they guarantee the exact loneliness they were trying to protect themselves from. This is the loop that most people never escape. Not because they lack the desire for real connection. They desperately want it, but because wanting it and knowing how to build it are two completely different things. If you've been watching this and something in you keeps nodding, if you recognize the performance exhaustion and the edited self and the baseline loneliness, and if you are genuinely ready to stop reading about connection and start actually experiencing it at a different level, the program we have linked in the description below is the place to start. Most people will watch this and tell themselves they'll think about it. They'll come back to it later. They'll wait until the timing is better. And a year from now, they'll be in the exact same place, still performing, still editing, still waiting for real connection to somehow find them on its own. The ones who actually change are the ones who decide today that waiting is the most expensive thing they've ever done. That link is right there. The difference between your life now and the one you actually want is a single decision.